Yo, but actually, I was thinking about it. I ain't heard from Bricc or his girl since I sent him that bread. Not a call, not a text, nothing.
Oh, you sent
From
me some
who?
more bread?
Well, that one time when
You haven't heard from who?
when I got back from vacation, Bricc, I made the video, and then like 2 days later, I got on the phone with him and I sent him some money. Ain't heard from him since. I'm not saying I need to be their priority when they're, obviously dealing with him being in prison and everything, and the fact that he's probably not going to be able to even go to trial till October.
That's fucked up.
That being said, ain't heard from him since.
I gotta call you out.
Sure.
When y'all got on that little table and y'all was sitting up there discussing that man's personal finances, that's not okay.
What table?
When y'all was at the table and
All
y'all was
of us?
talking about Bricc and his money and, oh, he called me for a loan and he already owed me this much money.
Whoa.
That was kind of like, dude,
But to
I
be
think he was
fair,
defending himself though.
I get it.
No. To be fair, like if that was any of us and there's something like that going on, it's gonna get discussed. Bricc is not exempt.
Every time.
But
Bricc is not
Same
exempt.
way we discussing Bricc with trannies in there,
what
Exactly.
I feel like
which we don't believe, but it's possible.
I don't believe that shit.
I feel my perspective is valid because it represents the sentiment of a certain demographic within your audience. There's just certain rules that I feel men should stick to. Like, we over here talking about a man, and if he's rich, like, bro, balling, okay, but bro is in a rough situation. You know, you in prison. Your family is, struggling. Let's say, is he really a friend? Because y'all friends, I think.
We are.
Is he a friend to you if you get up there and like add insult to injury? Not injury you caused.
I felt
By
insulted at
discussing
that point because I felt like I had my friendship tested by him basically putting a narrative out there about me that, oh, you ain't got nothing for the homie or whatever, which from my perspective was kind of messed up given that I have let you borrow a lot of money over the years. Now, is your perspective that basically when I employ somebody, if they then go to federal prison for things that have absolutely nothing to do with no jumper, that then I must pay for all of their expenses and keep them rolling in the dough for all of time financially to be able to do so?
Well, my perspective is, since you told me this is a business, run it like a business. Who else could go to their damn boss and be like, hey, I need a loan of $10,000? No.
I
You need
agree.
to
I
manage
am
your
overtly
finances
nice.
better. So what I'm telling you is you create this situation. It's like when you feed a stray cat.
So you're saying
can't
that I
feed a
was
stray cat
wrong
and
for
get
giving
back
him
and show up every day
I
at
was
your
wrong
porch.
for giving him money in the first place, but now that I've started to give him some money besides his salary, that then I also now have to give him whatever he asked for.
You were wrong for discussing it. Hold on. You were wrong for discussing it in public forum.
Well, yeah, 'cause that's what I'm saying. Now you're
You created that monster.
Hey, Brandon, he made it a thing first though. You know what I'm saying? He had bring it up like he ain't got nothing for him, so I guess he felt like he had to.
Yeah, obviously I never would have mentioned
It's on
anything.
Adam to be the bigger person. You're the boss in this situation.
He
He's
wants
the
to be a
employee.
saint.
I need to always be
I
the
don't
bigger
want
person.
you to be a saint. I want
So
you to
if
set
someone
an
puts out
example.
a narrative there about me as if I'm treating him poorly, which there was a bunch of YouTubers making videos about that already, I can't respond to that.
No, because you shouldn't, because you know why? Other people will defend you. Even people have come at me like, Adam is up there using them dudes. I was at a studio with some of Wax homeboys, some older dudes, and they was talking trash about that, laughing at him and stuff. And they was like, Adam be doing this and doing that. And I said, no.
Mm-hmm.
Adam takes care of these dudes. I said, Adam do more for these dudes than their own homies. Some of their parents would even do or are in a position to do.
Hey, you gotta put an address. on
People will literally, people, listen. No,
Hey,
I was in Inglewood. I told you I was in Inglewood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got studios over there. It's nice.
Oh no. You said he more than his family and homies.
I said
no?
some people's families.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm speaking generally.
Okay.
I know my mom ain't got 10,000 to just throw me in a bind. I'm being real right now.
And then
Honestly-
Wack started the finance conversation long before he went to jail. Oh, he gave him money and
Yeah.
Wack put that out there first.
Yeah,
Well,
that
I mean,
situation just. I feel
was
like you don't
public on
need
all
people to
regards.
defend you, Adam.
Pretty
People will go
much
to bat for
everybody
you.
already
No,
knew
I'm-
about that situation where I bailed him out when he was first starting to work here and stuff. But I just am having a hard time with the logic of you should have never given him money in the first place. But then once you give him money, you're no longer allowed to. You now have to keep giving him money. But then also, if there's people, if he created a narrative in which I wasn't giving him enough money, then I'm not allowed to speak out and defend myself. Now, is it kind of ugly to like name the exact dollar amounts? Sure, maybe, just because that's kind of stuff where it's like then everybody knows, oh, Bricc had to borrow $7,000 or whatever. Like they know like the dollar amount that he didn't have at that point, which I don't know if he like actually didn't have that money, but like he needed to borrow that money. I guess that tells you something about his finances, and it's kind of ugly to talk about people's finances. That being said, if you put an attack out there, which granted it was a vague attack, but if you put out a narrative out there about me, I feel like it's very much within the realm of reasonable conversation to say, I let you borrow exactly this amount, and this amount, and that's why I feel like you getting on my case or putting out narratives about me saying that I'm not doing enough for you is kind of fucked up. I don't think the truth can ever be that wrong to put out there into the world. Wack always says the truth can never be disrespect. That I disagree with. But I do think that as a general strategy, putting the truth out there is usually not that bad. It might not always be the best strategy, but it's also not really a bad strategy because now the whole world knows, anybody who cares about it knows exactly how much money I gave them. And, I've been completely transparent about that. That's probably better than people not knowing. People might think, oh, he's asking Adam for 20 grand or 40 grand or something like that. Or he's asking Adam for $100 and Adam won't give him $100, which all of these numbers color the situation very differently. There's a lot of different, like if everybody was like, if everybody thought, oh, Bricc is asking for 100 grand for a lawyer and Adam won't give it to him. And I said, no, I can't give you 100 grand. I think everybody out there would understand that. They'd be like, that is an egregious amount to ask for.
Even if you said, I'm not giving you $7,000 or $5,000, because everyone understands that this is his job.
Right.
This ain't like just we homies up here hanging out. That man called you. I promise you, he didn't call nobody before he called you because he knew you were the only person who was going to be willing to give that to him.
I don't know if that's true because, number one, people like 21 Savage apparently gave him money for when he got home from the last time. He does have a lot of different connections.
I'm telling you right now.
You know people with money.
I'm telling you right now.
They didn't ask me for any money until like a month after he got arrested. So I don't think that there's any way that he wasn't also talking to other people.
Yeah,
about,
because a month later, bills and shit are due.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, I'm telling you, you were the first and last person I do call.
But there's two
I
things.
bet my life.
But there's two variables that need to be looked at. I think the reason why he felt like entitled to that, despite the fact he's not working, is because he's seeing a bunch of his name and the way it's being monetized. He's seeing Flacco dropping a gang of content on him, making money. He's seeing No Jumper, which granted, he is a part of No Jumper, potentially capitalizing off of his name. So he's like, hey, that's why he spoke up. You feel me?
I don't like that narrative, bro. That's why that broad talking about some she paying everybody bills. What's her name?
But that's a really excessive way, that's over whooping like a motherfucker. But there is a little bit of truth. But then again, it's not applicable in Loose Cannon's case because Loose Cannon was never a part of No Jumper. Sure, he's made a few appearances and stuff like that, and we with Loose, but Loose has never been a No Jumper employee. Bricc sat down next to the two of us for a year and a half straight. So, it's a little bit different. On top of that,
Loose can't ask me for shit. No offense. I fuck with you, Loose, but I don't really know you like that. You came on the podcast 3 times. I feel the same way about the Loose thing as I felt about the Famous Richard thing. Like, Famous Richard was on the podcast just as many times as Loose, and it's like, I just don't, I don't know you to the extent where I feel like I need to get involved and pay your legal bills.
Adam, you're an enabler.
That is probably true.
That's basically, I'm just
definitely some truth to that.
We gonna sit down like adults. You're a damn enabler.
And the other thing,
you enable these dudes, and then they can't get it right because they got you to back them up and rescue them, and then they call you out. And
you're
like,
generalizing it, but the truth is that nobody has ever borrowed money from me besides Bricc. Like AD never asked me to borrow money. T-Rail never asked me to borrow money. All the guys, I can't think of any of them. I mean, maybe like back in the BMX days, I let people borrow money a little bit, but for the most part, I don't want people to have the idea that just because you work here that I'm also like your lifeline if anything goes wrong.
I've been down and out and I didn't ask this dude for a cent.
Your parents are rich.
Don't matter. Like
you ain't never hitting the ground.
True,
real.
but they're not. But there's times where I couldn't get money from them, and it was like, you feel me? Like
because they doing to you what he should do to these
my
people.
Parents are
starve them out.
My parents are doing just fine. My parents are chilling.
There's a guy who owns
they're bicking back.
There's a guy who owns a big BMX company that at a certain point told me, at a certain point, the dudes that are on your team or whatever will ask you to borrow some money, and you could just let them borrow money, but then that basically clears you of having to do it in the future, And so you want to limit it. You want to try to make it so that it isn't, a consistent thing that's happening. But if there's a situation in which a person's really going through something kind of disastrous and you need to let them borrow a couple grand, it's like it's probably easier to just do it and then use that as the reason why you can't do it anymore in the future, rather than to just let that person know, like, hey, I'm just being cold-hearted to you and I'm not going to be able to help you out in this situation.
But you had already done it. Has he paid you back the money he borrowed from you before?
No. And
Okay,
I mean, at this point, once you catch a Fed case, I really feel like, okay.
Yeah,
you're good.
and to keep, and to just like, because for full transparency, I spoke to Bricc a few days ago, man. That's a huge financial obligation that his lawyer wants from him, and it's a very, very, very expensive thing he's going through.
Why are you saying that like I'm supposed to care about that? Like you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. That's not the point. I have no issue with Bricc Baby. What I'm saying is,
damn, bro,
you get the guy, you're loaning him money. I just gave the perfect analogy. It's like feeding a stray cat and then complaining because it's showing up on your doorstep. The whole point is, if these guys been around this long and they haven't been able to pick up enough game from you to be able to have their own stuff pop into where they got some hundreds of thousands in the bank, it's not your job to loan him money, and it's unbecoming of him and you for you to talk about him online, but for him as a man to be in a position where he can't pay his own bills.